Yeah, I mean, I just think that Ryan Holiday is like the Sam Altman of, wisdom in the workplace right now. It's trending. And I have been reading a lot around people just getting so overwhelmed and exhausted by AI. There's so many, almost like conspiracy theories around it. Um,
Hmm.
Infamous. What's your take on that? There's a phenomena, isn't it? I can't remember what's it called again?
I mean, there's a lot of things going on that are impacting people right now. Um, there's now talk of AI fatigue,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
where people, including myself, we are just overwhelmed, especially in the computer science, ethics, and management space, with so many possible solutions and so many vendors. And then, are you going to choose Gemini,
right.
ChatGPT, XAI, Claude, right? I mean, we could just keep going on and on of all the options. And so, like someone who is not really that hungry, but is told to go shop for food, we just walk the aisles, sort of
It's
dumbfounded
free.
by all the options. And the problem is, I think, is that we think maybe some of this stuff will solve our problems, or maybe we feel obligated to become really good at this or know something to protect our jobs, to solve some
Yeah,
problem.
there's the threat though, AI won't take your job, but somebody using AI will. How many times have you heard that mantra everywhere?
Yeah, I've heard that, and I think I've heard it so much now that it
Yeah,
doesn't have much
I'm
meaning.
agnostic now.
Because eventually, if AI is sort of like a calculator, it'll be like, well, you know, someone who knows how to use a calculator could take your job. It's like, yeah, well, I can just learn how to use a calculator,
Right,
and I can learn how to use enough AI to be efficient and to solve my problems.
right. But also, David, if I can just push back on this as well,
Mhm.
AI is under delivering. I mean, the golden promises by now should have materialized. We've been talking about this for 2 years in social media, and I'm not seeing the deliverables. In fact, if anything, I'm just seeing more evidence of hallucination, lack of context. And there are so many companies that have rushed into this gold rush with AI. Yeah. And you talk a lot about the ethics of it as well, right? Like, give an example of an ethics and AI quandary, let's just say.
I think the largest one is not taking responsibility for the results of AI, or coming in, firing a bunch of people, and hoping that AI will solve all the problems. And the responsibility, accountability part of AI really isn't built there yet, because laws have not been passed that says if this AI hurts people, or for a leader who doesn't hire the right number of people, instead of sort of relies on AI and it doesn't deliver, what are they going to do? And so I think it has to be, take care of your people first and use AI as a technology and tool. That way
Right.
you're being responsible, you're caring for your people, you hold on to your very best people. And also I think it's, in some way, it's unethical, or you're not fulfilling an obligation to do no harm if we ignore AI. To sort of say, well, this isn't going to change anything and I can still do my job. Well, you actually may be harming your clients, yourself, and your company by not trying a new tool that could definitely improve efficiency, provide better service, faster service. I know in accounting, for example, they find that expert accountants become much more effective with their work when they
Mm.
use AI. But what's great about the experts is they know when the AI is being overconfident and making mistakes.
Right. Human
Now,
oversight is what you're talking about.
yeah, where a new accountant is more likely to just do what the AI said, which is a problem, because they don't have the expertise to be able to decide if it's right or wrong. And so MIT came out with a study earlier this year that showed that the expertise is still necessary.
Yeah. As you're talking, did you ever see that movie Sully?
No, I've read about read
You know
about
what
what you did.
you know what it's about, right? So it's about an AI simulation that completely overlooked a critical fact that only a human pilot would have known.
Hmm.
And they tried to re-engineer their case against the pilot for malpractice because they lost a plane. Okay. And I think the Sully analogy is a good one for where we're at with AI currently. I don't think we're always going to be here, but that's where we're at with it. Now, also the ethics for me is the ChatGPT usage or AI usage, not singling anybody out here, in the classroom and what that's done to attention, to focus. Now, have you seen the stats about the developing brain, how it reorganizes the developing brain and the ethics around that?
I have. I'm curious if this is a problem more of distraction, I think, than AI itself. But then AI is compounding the distraction problem because not only are, let's say, kids distracted, and so now Australia has banned social media or will be.
Yeah.
Other countries are starting to ban smartphone usage in schools. So that reduces the distraction and access to AI, which I think is a great idea. Because to learn is to actually change something in here. Now, the AI making us, the sort of term being used is de-skilling. So are there certain things that this next generation will not be able to do in terms of think about because the connections aren't there in their brain? Possibly so. Now, could we say, though, that this person doesn't know their times tables? Well, but they have a calculator on their phone or something. And so as educators, we have to figure out, well, what is really important? What is the real learning that has to happen in my course, as opposed to something that is more just content based? You know, I can look up what 9 times 9 is, but it's probably good for your brain to know that 9 times 9 is 81. Because someone else will be saying, well, wait a second.
Yeah.
And you're like, 81.
Right.
So that also is an expertise that will make people stand out, where a novice, someone who's been de-skilled because they haven't put in the effort to learn, they may struggle in a job.
Well, they won't remember 9 times 9 is 81. They won't have that neural network that only comes when you practice your times table and have to recite it and have to put it out again and again, right?
Yeah, and there's an issue of priority too, priority of learning. So I don't know the 6 steps to creating a marketing plan, but I can find it on ChatGPT immediately. But that's okay, because I have a book here that has the same thing. I can look in the book, or I can look online. The question is, can I use that wisely with the client? And that to me is where this, if you will, this expertise, this ability to make connections quickly in my mind really adds value to my life, because I feel confident, competent, and I can actually be of more service to people without saying, wait a second, I need to type this in, I need to look in this book. So there is something very beautiful about a human actually knowing things and being able to do things quickly.
Right. Well, and also we're at the frontier of this research and this data coming in, but it's still fresh, what we're learning. And those young people will end up in our companies, right? So we don't know what the long-term implications are around that. And I think that you make some really good points about bringing, for example, Socratic debate, the ability to have a conversation with somebody. You have your opinion, they have their opinion, and you both come away with a third opinion, you know, a synthesis. And also you talk about, you know, the value of the classics, Stoicism and things like that. Now that's become trendy because of some influences and some really good writers. But like in terms of a business, what's the value of bringing in, to quote unquote, wisdom into the workplace?
Wisdom in like the knowledge management area is, you know, there's like facts, and then there's information, and then there's knowledge, and then there's wisdom. And wisdom is
run that again. Run that again. So there's what? There's facts.
So there's facts, like, you know, gravity pulls things down in a certain thing, and then there's information about how is that working in the world, and there's knowledge about Well, what are the connections between how this has worked and how we apply it? And then there's wisdom. I shouldn't apply that right now. Or I should apply that right now. And as Aristotle would say, wisdom or practical wisdom is doing the right thing in the right way at the right time with the right people, for example, where just because you know the facts and you have information, and let's say ChatGPT gave you some connections, which sure looks like knowledge, the human comes in and they are the ones who have to figure out when, where, and how to apply that. And to me, that's where wisdom comes in. And what's great about philosophy is that one of the highest values is thinking about and arguing about what is true and what leads to a good life. And making the right sales pitch at the right time to the right people in the right way is a great way to be a wise salesperson.
And you can't hack this. Like if somebody's like, oh, I've got a real easy hack for that, I'll just say, ChatGPT, what would Steve Jobs do in this decision making? Or what would Confucius do, right? Now, why wouldn't that work? Hacking wisdom.
Well, I think it would, but I'm going to have to read what ChatGPT says Steve Jobs would do and decide, is now the right time, the right place to do that. And famously, he was a terrible manager and even got fired for being such a terrible manager. And after he was humbled and made next and came back to Apple, he was still a pretty bad manager, but he was okay with that, and people were okay who worked for him because he made them create wonderful, beautiful things.
Yeah.
And but the Confucius thing, well, there are people in China who disagreed with Confucius, like Chen Tzu. He would say Confucius was wrong. You should not just seek the good, because if you're seeking the good and you don't make it, you're going to feel terrible about yourself all the time. Or you may have to oppress people so they'll be good too. And so this is where I think you have to have this debate across even philosophers, even in writing, 300 BC, 400 BC, to actually get that wisdom out, to say, I'm not just going to do what ChatGPT said. Another part of wisdom is that knowing how to ask the right question. Famously, Einstein said something like, if I had an hour to solve a problem that would result in saving my life, something like this, he said, I'd take 50 minutes to come up with the right question. Because it's that important to ask the right question. And that to me takes a lot of expertise, knowledge, and wisdom to ask that right question.
Right. And so it's that kind of, it's hard to define the expertise, but that kind of expertise is what we need in a intergenerational, AI integrated modern workforce, is what you're trying to say.
We always have, and we always will.
We always have, and we always will. Okay, thanks so much for that tip, David. Check in with you again soon.
Okay, thanks.